you have categories for how to know people. You talk about illuminators and diminishers.
Yeah.
I want to hear about it.
So sometimes you just meet somebody who they just pay attention to you and they get you.
Yeah.
I mean, they're curious about you. They ask you the extra set of questions to really know.
Yeah.
And they make you feel lit up. And the number one reason we don't see each other is ego. We're not interested. We're interested in describing ourselves. The number two is insecurity. We've got so much noise going up on the head, we can't really pay attention.
That's right.
And then we're self-centered.
Yeah.
I heard one social psychologist told me about a guy who was on one side of the river, and there's a woman on the other side of the river, and she calls out to him, "How do I get to the other side of the river?" And he says, "You are on the other side of the river." He can't get in her head. It's like he, and so these are the natural sins that we commit every day of just being self-centered and selfish and not really being curious about what's going on in the other person in front of you.
Kelly Corrigan said something really helpful the other day to me about how she clicks into that mode if she's wants to maybe not, ego. What else did you say? You were saying ego,
insecurity, self-centeredness. Yeah.
Yes, and self-centeredness. Especially if you're feeling busy and maybe you're toggling between roles, like I'm in work mode and now I'm at home and I'm actually still thinking about this other thing, and here you are and what am I doing? And she just asks herself, who am I serving right now?
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
I thought that was kind of helpful because then if I'm sort of whipped up about something else, but I'm actually at dinner, then the answer could be like the people sitting next to me.
Yeah. And also like the person in front of you is interesting on some subject. Everybody's interesting on some subject.
Yeah, they really are.
And you can have a fantastic conversation with somebody, with anybody.
Yeah.
If you approach it and I try to walk people through the steps, like what kind of attention do I cast? How do we just hang out when we're just getting to know each other? What kind of questions? How do I listen? And then what do I want to know about you? And I've learned you can just have great conversations with anybody, and you're happy about yourself.
I think I do it too when I'm. This might be a bit weird, but I do it when I'm kind of angry at somebody.
Interesting.
Like, not to be too specific, but if there's somebody in my life that I am like really frustrated by, then I do one of two things. One is I try really hard to figure out a story about them that I don't know, so that I can kind of go around the version of the story that I already have, especially too if they're being frustrating and pedantic about something that I'm like, well, Kate, like you need to find a thing. And then I can like it, and then you can kind of get like, then I find I can be like playful and relaxed again. The other thing I do is I try to find, and it has always felt counterintuitive, but it's always worked. I always try to find a thing about myself that I can open up a little bit that maybe I could need something. And it could be something really small, like I once told like a certain set of people was having a difficult time with that I liked gummy bears. I've gotten gummy bears for 20 years now, so I might need to watch like what I decide. But like to be vulnerable enough to have a need that they can fill, I have found that it creates reciprocity that at the moment, honestly, I didn't want.
Yeah.
But I knew that if I could keep finding a thing about them and maybe they could find a thing about me, that it could kind of keep things moving a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking about this distinction I make between illuminators and diminishers. And diminishers are the people who never ask you a question and they just like stereotype you. And I was thinking, well, can an illuminator convert a diminisher? Can they turn them in? And I hadn't really thought of that, but I think what you've just described is a way to do that. It's much more generous than I would be like dismissive. I think there's a way you can get somebody interested, but some people are just not question askers. No. Like I'll go leave a party and I'll think that whole time nobody asked me a question.
Oh, David.
And they're perfectly pleasant people.
But every time I look over at a party, you are also the one asking questions. So next time I'll like attach a sign to your back. Or I'm like, ask this famous man a question for the love of God.
Well, I was at a bar in DC not long ago, and I was having a drink alone, which other people would see as sad, but I see as research. And it's happened to me many times, especially like in New York or DC when the tables are all packed in close. And there's a guy on a date, clearly, and he's bloviating. He hasn't asked her one question in 25 minutes, and you just want to take your fork and just ram it into his neck and say, ask her a question. But, people are insecure. They're trying to impress.
Yeah. I love the fact that you're very good at telling embarrassing stories about yourself. It is it is very endearing. And that I think is also a nice way to be like, how do you want to create intimacy with people? Tell them something kind of really embarrassing about yourself that doesn't turn out cute.
Yeah.
Or like, and then in the end,
Yeah.
and all the people rejoice.